First, some points presented are a poison to our society by encouraging division. Honorable members, let me expand. Unfunded mandates are merely a symptom and a result of a misaligned government that governs using central approach but fails to consider the wider implications of its central plans. Away you get from the center. In other words, South Africa suffers from having a government that makes plans in Pretoria but does not consider the outcomes of the plans in Engu to Mtubatuba. This is the issue we have to start the process of solving. The GNU is incapable of building a development state that benefits all. The resolution proposed in this motion is that the Honorable Premier and the Honorable Executives engage the National Treasury at intergovernmental forums. The Honorable MEC of Finance just said today in this House, we do too much talking, we do too much sitting and not enough work in this House. I would add to this, we do too much talking too. And the resolution proposed would be nothing more than sitting and talking. Something the IFP and the ANC may like, considering they have been sitting in this House for years, but with no change. Thus, the resolution would be ineffective and temporary. The issue requires a permanent model, which is not what we've been offered here today. Just suggestions. Honorable members, I rise to oppose the resolution of the motion due to its inequality, but worse, it is a slippery slope to a neo-apartheid based on separate provinces and pushing out the intervention of the national government. If unfunded mandates are to be properly addressed at the roots, then adequate policy creation should not be the only goal. Madam Speaker, in my talk today, I will show that by building a unified development state, we can avoid unfunded mandates, have a unified South Africa and be active. In opposing the proposed resolution, I will present an alternative resolution that is more fitting of the issue and will lead to the progress in other areas of the public service as well. Unfunded mandates are a common reality in governments around the world. The factor that sets apart governments, however, is how they deal and resolve the issue of unfunded mandates. So far, we have received inadequate solutions for this issue, a trend that continues from the other inadequate proposal by members of GPU or GNU. This is then a test for the GPU-GNU. Can it coordinate a unified government policy that will end unfunded mandates in the area of the public sector wages and build a developmental state? Can the hard-working public servant rely on this GNU government? Madam Speaker, I will be presenting my argument under 2 points. My critique of what we had here today. Secondly, an alternative resolution proposal. Let me start by addressing the Honorable Biela. Let me educate you. Contradictions are dealt with by building an aligned policy framework, which can only truly happen in a development state that has a collective vision, not a division as this motion proposes. This motion is a symptom of there being a DA in the GNU that wishes to encourage provinces to secede from the Republic. It is a poisonous fruit, hiding as a goodwill for the benefits of the public servants. The country collects tax collectively, and thus a unified government with a clear vision is what we need, not provinces scattered. The last time we had scattered provinces was in the wars of the 1800s. But maybe from Cape Town has influenced you. Now let's speak about intergovernmental forums to decide. To avoid delays and inefficiencies, which would be caused by the national governments engaging not deciding on salary increases. Let us amend the Public Services Act instead. Long consultations could lead to the delays and inefficiencies in the implementation of these increases, ultimately affecting the livelihoods of the public servants, vulnerable members of our communities, and service delivery. This was something that was noted by the Honorable Finance Minister Enoch Godongwane on public service wage negotiations in 2022 when asked about consultations. Moving to the issue of the provincial treasury resisting absorbing costs. This issue can be resolved by policy alignment, where the provincial treasury and national treasury function as a single unit. Are they maybe struggling to align the policy, so have decided to subdivide the country? The DA getting the Western Cape, the ANC getting Gauteng, and the IFP hoping to get KZN. We must question the motives of the words like resist national government. On the issue of renewed discussion on trends to grant provinces autonomy, here in this point, they expose their motives. This debate is not about public sector wages or unfunded mandates. It is about creating a separate government in different provinces. The dismantling of South Africa, the fact that they reference the USA's federal system, we are in a unilateral country, is concerning. Amending the constitution to give provinces autonomy is the start of the dismantling of South Africa. How do we create a development state when drifting the provinces apart? This is not an IFP motion. It is a DA motion done by the IFP in KZN. I propose that the public servant wage increases be part of a comprehensive policy framework. National government increases wages using clear regulatory framework that considers available funding. Available funding sources ensures that the National Treasury contributes financially for any increases in wages made by the national government that affects provinces and municipalities. Thus, honorable members, the national government provides additional funding to provinces and municipalities to cover increased wage costs. If this issue of the public sector wages is to be addressed, then it must be addressed in full and thus prevent any future unfunded mandates in this regard. I urge my fellow members to join me in advocating for a more equitable and sustainable system of governance. My alternative proposed resolution is that this House can adopt the motion that this House resolves to works to introduce a funding formula requiring national government contribution to wage increases that are mandated by the national governments that affect public sector wage bills in provinces. Put forward proposals via the National Council of Provinces to amend the Public Service Act of 1994, Act 103 of 1994, to ensure national government funding for wage hikes that are mandated by the national government. This would be the best use of resources in this House and the Honorable Premier's time to engage in real policy framework that is transformative and addresses the issue, not just to have conversations about it, especially conversations that divide the country. Honorable members, the people of KwaZulu-Natal demand action, not empty promises. They want to see tangible results from their elected officials. We must deliver real policy changes that have an impact on issues that are of a serious concern to our people. Provinces must be empowered to hold the national governments accountable. The people of KZN will no longer tolerate meaningless mandates and goals that end up not being funded. These are seen political posturing, not just an attempt to resolve matters. The GPU and GNU will be tested by how it can align national, provincial, and municipal objectives. This then would be the difference between an MK-led government and the GNU in its current format. We would lead with the unification of all and national provincial objectives.
Thank you. The next honourable member for 6 minutes under the AC Biela of the IFP.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Greetings once more to yourself and the Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier in his absence, and the Honourable Leader of Government Business, Honourable MECs and Honourable Members. Where do I begin? The Honourable Member from the MK Party, he says that he wants to educate me. You see their reaction right now. There's a fear There's a serious fear there of what I'm going to say. Calm down, relax. The honorable member says that he wants to educate me. Indeed, we are living in a world of contradictions where a learner wants to educate a teacher. Nonetheless, I'm reminded, honorable members, of what Dr. John Hendrik Clark says, and I quote, I only debate with my equals, the rest I teach, close quote. As we near the conclusion of this critical debate, let us reflect on the essence of what this motion represents. The fight for a governance framework that is just, sustainable, and attuned to the realities of those we serve. At the heart of this motion is not about defiance or resistance, but it's about upholding the principles of equity, accountability, and subsidiarity in our intergovernmental relations. Unfunded mandates are a direct affront to the constitutional mandate of cooperative governance. When provinces are compelled to reallocate their already scarce resources to fund directives imposed without consultation or support, the very fabric of service delivery unravels. We've seen how this disrupts critical areas like healthcare, education, and infrastructure, disproportionately impacting rural and underserved communities. These consequences are not theoretical. They are lived realities for many of our constituents. Honorable members, this motion calls on us to take decisive action to protect the integrity of provincial governments. The proposed amendments to the Public Financial Management Act are not just procedural changes. They are safeguards against future financial mismanagement that threatens service delivery. Similarly, advocating for constitutional reforms to grant provinces greater fiscal autonomy is a necessary step towards empowering provincial governments to meet their obligations effectively and sustainably. But beyond these structural adjustments, this debate is a moral reckoning. It's about ensuring that government prioritizes people over bureaucracy. It's about affirming that every decision we make as leaders must be grounded in the realities of those who look to us for hope and support. The IFP stands unwavering in its commitment to these ideas. As a party that has long championed decentralization, accountability, and community-focused governance, one hoped that this House would support this motion not as a partisan exercise, but as a collective commitment to building a South Africa where governance works for the people. Honorable Deputy Speaker, while this motion addresses the critical challenge of unfunded mandates, let us not forget that our public servants are the backbone of government service delivery. Their dedication ensures that clinics operate, schools remain functional, and infrastructure is maintained. They are as much victims of this flawed system as the communities they serve. Our task is to reconcile these competing priorities by crafting a governance model that honors the contributions of public servants while safeguarding the resources needed to deliver essential services to our communities. This is not a choice between the two, but a call for a balanced, sustainable solution that upholds fairness and fiscal integrity. In closing, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I want to take advantage of this moment and ask this House, Honorable Speaker, to come together to pray for peace in the upcoming by-election in Umsundozi, where the MK party has fielded 2 candidates in the same ward, a clear indication of political immaturity. Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.